Hey there, and welcome to another edition of the North Dakota Softball All-Stars podcast. It's already episode number 22. If you want to catch some recent episodes, you can find us on social media. Look for @NDSB All-Stars. The last episode was with Landry Maragos, one of the heroes of the state tournament for Minot. Before that, it was the top 15 plays of 2018 as called by the ND Sports Channel. Talked to Gabby Nelson on episode 19. You go back, episode 18, 17, 16, and 15 were all playoff related as we rolled through regions into the state tournament and beyond. This episode, though, coming up in just a couple minutes here, a great conversation with Central Cass Squirrel alum Maddie Sweep. Maddie was just an outstanding player at Central Cass. She had a lot of home runs, great shortstop. Really a pest to play against. She was always a danger at the plate, and she was so talented in the field. And spending some time at Northern Cass and at Fargo North, we ran into Maddie a lot. But a good kid, and she was a lot of fun character-wise at the Shield Softball All-Star Series this year. So in a couple minutes, we are going to talk to Maddie Sweep. Before that, a couple of commitments that have rolled in. We have Lauren Diemert from West Fargo, who we are efforting to get on the next podcast. She's committed to play her college ball at Jamestown. Very cool. Congratulations to Lauren, and she'll continue her education and play softball for the Jimmies. Over in Valley City, the defending EDC champions, they took consolation at state. Grace Schur, she is going to continue her softball career and get an education at Valley City State University, so Grace will be a member of the Vikings. We're also efforting her, trying to get her on podcast number 23 coming up in the month of November, so hopefully we can make that happen. If you have any other commitments, we're trying to kind of put together a running list here, so just find us on Twitter, on Facebook, whichever way you want to reach us, at NDSB All-Stars, and just shoot us a note. Let us know the name of the athlete, the school they're at, and the school in which they have committed to, and we want to get that out there. Part of our mission to help continue to grow the game of softball through education opportunity and showcase. And part of that showcase is, of course, the Shields Softball All-Star Series. We're in the works planning the 2019 edition, looking at some possible tweaks, looking at possible dates, looking at possible locations. So all that is in the works with more information to come soon. But I promised you a Central Cass Squirrel alum. If you know softball in these parts, she doesn't really need an introduction, but I want to give her one anyway. I kind of already did. But Maddie Sweep, always dangerous at the plate. A home run hitter, hit the first ever home run at Koss Field. I'm sure we'll talk to her about that here in just a minute. College opportunities for her. Just an all-around outstanding softball player and a fun kid to be around. As we got to experience that at the Shields Softball All-Star Series. So without further ado, Maddie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, out of your school schedule to chat and be part of the North Dakota Softball All-Stars podcast. Welcome to the program, Maddie.
Hi, thank you.
So let's start at Central Cass. Obviously, you were a thorn in my side as a coach. Loved to play against you, but really didn't at the same time as I was at Northern Cass and then I was at Fargo North. But a tremendous career you had there. But what a softball program and the community support that Central Cass has always had. Isn't that so cool?
It's amazing. It's honestly crazy how much you don't realize that they help, and then they're always there when you need them. Sometimes even when you don't, but it helps a lot.
Yeah, and one of the visible community support pieces was the new complex out there, Koss Field, incredible turf venue. We really needed it this last spring with how rough the weather was. But just talk about that new field and being able to play there your senior year.
It was a little rough to start with just because we're not used to the field, just because it plays a little differently. But when we got going and then seeing how much it helped everyone else and how cool it was for us to play on that and having colleges come play on our field, it was honestly a blessing. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and it was kind of a messy look back there, too, because this was just part of a really cool renovation with, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the football field, the baseball field, basically that whole complex redone, turf. I mean, it looks fantastic. How big was that for the school and all of the sports programs going forward at Central Cass?
It was huge for us. I know with getting that done for all the sports, football, baseball, and softball, it kind of gave us just some more confidence that our community was there behind us. Our school is behind us so much that we're able to get this complex. It kind of just gave us a big boost of confidence that we could do the things that they're asking us to do.
Yeah, and obviously on the first year of the new field, you guys went all the way. You won a state championship, but I want to go back to a moment relatively early in the season. It was still pretty cold outside as it was for most of our season, but you drove a pitch to left field and you hit it well over the scoreboard. I don't think we tracked a distance, but it's got to be the longest long ball that was hit there in just the first year of existence. But that feeling, I'm sure you knew it was gone when you hit it, but did you know you hit it that far?
No, not really. I rounded first base and I was like, all right, I don't know where I kind of know where it went, but I'm still going to sprint around the bases, and I get to second base and Scott's waving me down like, hey, you're good. You can slow down. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I got to home plate and all the girls were freaking out. And then I get into the dugout and one of our assistant coaches, Megan Kramer, was like, you just hit the first home run on this field. And I was like, oh my gosh. And just for that to be my senior year too, it was amazing.
I'm glad you mentioned Scott. Scott Koss, head coach out there at Central Cass. He's been doing this for a long time. I think softball is a little unique in the way that a lot of the coaches aren't teachers and they're not out at the school all day, every day. And Scott is one of those. He works a day job and then comes out and coaches you guys. But obviously they named a field after him, so that must be good. But what kind of contribution has he had as a coach for your program?
He does everything you could even imagine. He's there anytime you ask him. He's not just a coach, but he's just a big figure in all of our lives. I know my older sister still has him in the back of her head every time she's doing something, when she's thinking of just the little life lessons that he gave us to take with us throughout our entire life. And with coaching, he knows the game, and I wouldn't have asked for a better coach.
We're talking to Maddie Sweep, talking about her high school coach, Scott Koss. And Scott and Maddie and the whole crew won a state championship last year, and we'll get to that in just a second. But before we do, I want to ask you about they call it the AB Clash, which is kind of a cool and unique opportunity here on the east side of North Dakota, where there's 4 Class A teams and 4 Class B teams that come together for a weekend and play against each other, and mainly they're Fargo-based or very close to Fargo, a lot like Castleton is. How cool was it to play in that tournament? You get that really good competition, but you kind of almost get that state tournament atmosphere with games going on and people all over the place.
Yeah, it's very serious. You can feel just the tension in the air because Class A and Class B don't usually play against each other, and then we get a chance to fight it out and just have that good competition and see the different levels and how it all pans out and everything. And it's very competitive.
Yeah, and your team obviously did fantastic. I think over the 2 years, 6-0 is the record. If not 6-0, it's got to be 5-1. Squirrels have been fantastic in that, and it's helped prepare, I'm sure, for the state tournament, where last year your team obviously made the deep run. We've mentioned you won the state championship, but when you got to the title game, you played Des Lacs, and they have a really, really good pitcher on the other end of this thing, and you guys were able to get to him. I'm sure you were confident going into that game, but was the expectation that you would end up winning by 10-run rule in the state championship game?
Well, we never really expect that. You can't expect to go into the state championship game overlooking a team, because the second you overlook them is the second they come right out from behind you and take it away from you. So we always came in level-headed, just got to do our own game, play how we always play, and if we play our hardest, then it'll happen for us, and thankfully it did.
So not to put you on the spot, but I think easier question for you to answer since you're not coming back for another year at Central Cass, but can they do it again? Can they back up this state championship with another one in 2019?
I think if the girls really put their minds to it and really buy into Scott's system and listen to everything the coaches have to say, I think the girls could definitely do it.
There you go. We'll find out in June if that's the case. We're talking to Maddie Sweep, graduate of Central Cass. And Maddie, you played some of your summer softball last towards the later part of your high school career with West Fargo United, and it ultimately gave you a college opportunity. Can you talk a little bit about how that summer program is maybe different and the opportunity that it gave you to play some more softball and to be seen by some more coaches?
I think it was relatively the same, just it was a lot more strict, like with what we could do and how we did some things. So it was just kind of like fine-tuning some skills. And then it helped a lot because we were able to go to, we went to the Colorado Sparkler, so we were able to see different, states and how they compete down. And it's just, I honestly would not be where I am without them. And Matt Johnson, he's helped me so much, along with his dad, Pat, and Katie. I couldn't thank them enough.
Yeah, all that help over the years from all sorts of different coaches and obviously teammates. You win a state championship at Central Cass, and then just a couple days later, you're playing in the second annual Shields Softball All-Star Series. So you had a teammate, Maddie Foss, who played the first year, and then the second year, you and another teammate, Hallie, we'll get to in a second, get an opportunity to play in that game. But take us through how you found out that you made the Shields Softball All-Star Series, and then what your thoughts were going into the games.
Well, we were coming home from a game for softball, and my coach called me and Hallie up to the front of the bus and was like, "Here you go. Don't open these until you get home." And so when we got home, we opened the letters together, and we were like, "Holy cow, we're playing in the All-Star game." And we're like, "Wow, this is kind of exciting." And then when we got there, we were like, we have no idea who any of these girls are, besides the fact that we played against them. And you have some big rivals on that team, so it's kind of hard to play with them right away, just because you're like, oh boy. And you're just like, you've played against these girls for how many years, and now you have to play with them. It was kind of hard at first, but it was a good experience to get to play with those girls and see how they were actually like as people, other than your competitor.
Right, and you kind of alluded to it there, but it gets to be a little bit crazy. So depending on if you're at a Class A or B school, East or West, I guess, varies a little bit too, but you're going to go in some order, in all likelihood, a graduation, a state tournament, and then the softball all-star game. So by the time you got to Monday and then into Tuesday, what kind of energy did you have left in the tank? Was it still something exciting? If you had the opportunity to live it again, would you?
I definitely was a little tired, but me and Hallie both managed to pull through. And if I had the opportunity, I would definitely do it again. It was a great experience.
And you kind of already answered my question, but I'll ask it anyway, just so we make sure we're super clear on it. But you got a chance to play with one of your teammates, so somebody you've played with for a long time, and you actually just put a ton of effort into over the course of a high school season. You get to play together for a couple days in the All-Star Series. How cool was that aspect that you and Hallie got to do it together?
It was pretty fun. Hallie and I have been through a lot together. We've played since we were in eighth grade. We played volleyball and basketball together, so we never really got away from each other. So we were just friends from the beginning, and then getting to play those 2 extra games, even though the season was over, getting to play those 2 extra games was really nice.
We're talking to Maddie Sweep, graduate of Central Cass. Obviously a fantastic career there that culminated in a state championship and a couple of Shields Softball All-Star games. So, Maddie, we've made it to the fun part of this. For me, maybe the more challenging part for you. I'm going to ask you just a handful. I think I got about a dozen listed out of your favorite things, and you just give me the first answer that comes to the top of your head, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Your favorite type of music is?
Country.
Okay, who's your favorite singer or band?
Thomas Rhett.
Good answer. Pizza. Your favorite toppings on a pizza are?
Pepperoni.
Your favorite season of the year, spring, winter, summer, fall?
Fall.
All right. Favorite cereal?
Captain Crunch.
Favorite subject or class in school?
Biology.
Favorite movie?
The Lion King.
Good one. Didn't expect that. Favorite TV show?
Grey's Anatomy. Definitely.
Good answer. Favorite sport to play other than softball?
Volleyball.
So we didn't really talk about this much, but you spent some time in Kansas since you graduated high school. What's your favorite thing about the state of Kansas?
It's not much different than North Dakota. So, it's a lot warmer longer. So that's kind of nice.
That's a great answer. Jealous of that one. Okay, last one for you, and it's totally not fair. But what's your favorite high school softball memory?
Definitely winning the state championship with my sister my freshman year.
There it is. Good answers. Maddie Sweep, graduate of Central Cass. She's a softball alum now, too, of the All-Star Series. Maddie, thanks for taking some time out to talk. This has been fun.
No problem. Thank you.
There it is. Maddie Sweep, graduate of Central Cass, plays Class B softball fresh off a state championship and a Shield Softball All-Star Series appearance. Maddie joining us here on the North Dakota Softball All-Stars podcast. Again, we're trying to effort a couple of recent college graduates. Lauren Diemert out to Jamestown, Grace Schur out to Valley City. Would love to talk to them on the next podcast. We're trying to make that work with schedules and all that sort of thing for November. We are getting into almost basketball season, right? And winter sports, hockey, that sort of thing. So we're putting a wrap on the fall season. Now's the time we'd really, really love to know what those softball players who are playing other sports are doing in the fall. How have the volleyball seasons gone? Maybe it's cross country, whatever it might be. We want to know how those softball athletes are doing in their other sports. We all know specialization at too young of an age is not a good thing. And so these kids playing these other sports, we want to recognize them doing that too. And we want to be able to say, hey, this person is doing such a great job. They got 1 million assists in volleyball or 500 digs or whatever that may be. We would love to know about it. Share those stories at NDSB All-Stars on both Facebook and Twitter. It's one of those things that we love to share the things that we get, but we definitely don't get everything. So the more that you can get our way, the better. With that, it's about time to put a wrap on yet another podcast. Let's go November, December, January, February. Only 4 months until maybe 5, until we're kind of back into the swing of softball. More regular podcasts. We need to start looking ahead, right, to the 2019 season and crossing our fingers that this warmer weather and a better winter rumor, a hope that's out there. Let's just say our prayers that comes true and we can have a regular high school fast pitch softball season in North Dakota. I'm your studio host, Tim Howe. This is the North Dakota Softball All-Stars podcast. Thank you so much for listening.